So the first thing I'm going to do is a clementine. The clementine is pretty round and it kind of flattens at the bottom like that. Has a little stem right there. I'm just going to draw it out simply and then we're going to add shading. Now, it is the closest thing to me. I'm going to make a little line to kind of show that. And then with my pencil, I want to visually show that the apple starts about here. The apple and the clementine have a little bit of space between each other like that from where I am. When I take a photo of this for you to look at, it could be off because this is an amateur video. Okay, I'm looking at the angle of the apple right now, and it angles like that, comes around, and I want to know where the clementine hits the apple, because then I'll know how big the apple should be to the clementine. So I'm going to take my pencil and align it at the top of the clementine and see that it's about halfway. So if I go like this, I know that this should only be this much more to equal the apple. So I'm going to do that. The apple kind of flattens out. And I'm also going to use my clementine to double check the size of my apple. So right now I'm measuring the clementine, and it is 1 clementine and a half. So here's a clementine, there's the clementine, and this is like a half. So we'll bring that over. So it was to here, right? And then about half, right? So I think it goes to there. So that's good. This is the beauty of using fruit, vegetables, any kind of plant. Every leaf, every apple, every orange, everything's going to be a little different. Nothing is really exactly the same. So if your apple's a little different from the apple that we have here, fine. As long as you pay attention to the fact that an apple tapers here, it's wider on top as well. With a clementine, it's pretty round, but it kind of flattens on the bottom. Now, I noticed that my apple does not have a stem, but I want a stem because I really want to say this is an apple. I'm going to fake in a stem. Don't make it too fat. Stems are not fat. There's my stem. Now, I'm going to erase this right here for now. I'm going to go to the next step. I'm going to go to the bucket. Where does the bucket hit the apple? Well, it looks like it hits it right here. So I'm going to put a little line here. Now, the bucket is round. So I want to show a little bit of an arc like that. Also, the apple is in front of the bucket. So if I take a line, if I take my pencil and match it up against the bucket, which has a slight angle, so I'll know that it's about this much of the apple that's being covered, and it has an angle. Now, my apple is this tall, so the bucket is 1 apple and a half to the rim. So I'm going to go like this, 1 apple, and a half to about like here. So I feel confident, comfortable enough to put it there. I'm going to follow this arc parallel because it's round. Now I'm going to see about the width of my bucket. My apple is, using my apple to measure from, an apple is, it's an apple and like not even a quarter. So let's say an apple, about that much more. So maybe to there, so maybe like there, let's see. Now again, I want the line to follow this line and not be too tapered. Let's see if these equal each other. I'm going to put a straight line where I think the middle of this is. I'm going to do this. That's pretty good. Do this. That's pretty good. Do this. That's pretty good. So that's good enough. I'm going to erase this because I don't need it now. I don't need that right now. Okay. So now I have the plant. The plant is 1 bucket, 2 buckets. It's at least 3 buckets. So I have 1 bucket, 2 buckets, 3 buckets. So I know that my plant's got to go about there. However, it can be a little shorter, it can be a little longer, it doesn't matter. The plant that I'm going to be drawing is called a mother-in-law tongue, and there's 5 leaves to it. So I'm going to do the first leaf, and I'm going to create the other side of the bucket like this. I'm also going to create the lip. I'm looking at my plant and it angles in about right here. And if I take my pencil and go straight up, there should be like a long triangle right in here. If this goes straight up, there's a long triangle right here. Now another leaf butts in front of it, and it kind of goes straight up. And there is some negative space right in here. I'm going to fake that in. First, I'm going to show a fold right here in the second leaf, and then it rolls, and there's a tight little space in between here. Right there is a negative space, and then it comes around like that. What I want to do is kind of emulate the negative space right in here, and that helps describe it. Then this particular skinny leaf starts to angle like that. Then it straightens out like that. Then it sort of starts to reach out to the tip like that. The third leaf comes out and it angles into the apple like this. So if I took my pencil and saw the angle of this leaf, it's going right into my apple just like that. Comes out, and let's see, I'm going to find out if I go straight like this and make a line that goes straight up. Let me see where it hits it. It hits it about here. About out here. Okay. I'm going to erase this angle because I just used it to help me find it. I may have to redraw the angle, I don't know. Right now, we're sketching it out. We're not putting in details. We can change it if we need to. So this is 1, 2, 3. This is the third leaf. Behind it is another leaf, and it has about this much space next to this one. It tapers out like this. It hits about like that, which tells me if I take a straight line across, that's correct, that seems right. But this seems like it should be a little longer. Again, it doesn't really matter because it's a leaf. So I see the other side crosses over and hits here. Now, 1, 2, 3, 4. The fifth leaf is here. And it hits here. And there is a nice triangle of negative space, so that will help you. Make sure you see that space right there. Keeps going up, and right past here, there's a little tear in the leaf. Then it straightens up again. And it is I'm just going to make a guess right here. It's about that wide. But that also tells me that this could be a little wider, because now I'm looking at the negative space of this. I'll just fix that a little bit. Doesn't have to be perfect. And in fact, the cut, the tears might be a little lower. Again, it just doesn't matter. As long as it looks like the leaves of this plant, of the mother-in-law tongue. I guess they're called tongues. Okay, so there's the plant, there's the bucket. Now I want this bucket to go all the way around. And when I look at the space of here and here, it tells me that maybe this could be a little bit bigger. I'm gonna make it a little bit bigger. Just a little bit bigger. And then that means this is gonna be a little bit bigger too. Now I'm gonna make my little lip for now. And I also see that this hits in a little bit more. A little bit more. So there's more space on this side than that side. I'm going to erase this and erase this and erase this, but it doesn't really matter. It really doesn't. Because all these marks just show that you were double checking. And that's part of the drawing process. So right here is a handle. I'm going to do a little circle first, then I'm going to put the outer circle around it, trying to evenly follow the little circle around the handle. It tucks in a little bit like this, tucks in a little bit like that. It also starts to angle like that. I take my pencil to see which way it's going. It's angling like that. And this is angling like that. If I look at where the handle is outside of the bucket, it looks like it hits about right here, like where this is. So let's start here where visually it seems like it starts here. And again, we want it to be parallel and equal. I'm going to take this around, take this around. This is the lip of the handle. You can see it pretty clearly. That goes all the way around. Then that same lip meets up like that. And then right in here, this meets in there. At the same time, right there. Actually, let's raise that little area. So right where they meet each other, right here, is where you can put a straight line to bring you over to this side. This is a vertical line right in here. So I can clean that up later, but at least if I look at this negative space and look at that negative space, it's close. It's not perfect, but it's good. It just depends on where your eye level it is. Because if I go down a little lower, it's a little shorter, and a little higher, but this is good enough. All right, so that's it. So now we have to do the water tower. The base of the water tower is equal to the top right here of the bucket. So I'm going to take a line and get it and do that right there, just so I know. Also, the angle of the stilts that it's on can be difficult. So I see that it's falling right here, but I also want to pay attention to this negative space here and follow that. So I'm going to take my pencil to see how it angles, and I think that it angles like this. And it's small right in here. It's not as wide as down here. So I'm going to take my pencil and measure it and see if it equals anything. Does it equal the apple? Oh, it equals the apple down below. So if I go right here, I'm going to try to match that and give it a line there. And I'm going to follow this line like that. I'm going to look at my clementine, and I'm going to, another thing that I noticed is that this is about equal to where that is. So these two hit about the same. And if I put something in the middle like this, a line for me to help me make sure that this is straight, I'm going to take a line all the way up, because I figure this might help me drawing the water tower. So I have this angle and I have this angle, and I'm going to take my pencil and see where that angle takes me. It takes me all the way up like that. So it's close to the top but not quite. I'm also going to use my plant to see where the water tower hits the water tower seems to hit about right here. And then right there's the tip. So let's see. I'm going to take this. I'm going to take it to here. I'm going to do this and see if that works. Next, I'm going to look at the negative space between this and the water tower. And I'm guessing that it is something like that. But let me double check. Let me see if this line hits through the apple like that. Let me see. Does it hit through the apple like that? It might be a little closer. Let's do that. So then if that's the case, and this is my line, then this should equal that. So now I'm going to do a straight line here. I'm also going to see something. If I take a straight line like this, do I have that much negative space where my clementine is? Let me see. You know, it seems like I should make this a little skinnier. So I'm going to make that a little skinnier. Because to me, it seems like that's about how much space I have. And then if that's the case, and this is this wide, then this one was the better one. And I'm going to erase this. So now I think I have the base of my water tower, but the water tower is round. So I'm going to go into it like that. Then I'm going to go into this like that, because just like the bucket, it's a parallel arc. Okay. Now the cap. I'm using my pencil, and I'm going to see where the top of the cap of the water tower angles down to. And with my pencil, it angles down like this. So I'm going to do this. And I'm going to try to do it the exact same angle on the other side. And it also comes out a little. I'm going to make it a little higher. And there's a little tip right at the top. Okay? Now, I'm looking at my water tower. It looks pretty good. But I'm not sure if this is correct. So I'm going to put a straight line right here because it's there. I'm rounding this out. I'm going to show the little, there's another lip. I'm going to follow the same arc that I have, same curve. And it has a little bit of a rim. Okay, I have that, and honestly, this seems a little high or a little wide. I'm gonna go, which means this could be out just a little bit more. And then this goes, make sure that goes out a little bit more. This is round. This is less round because it's kind of like wonky. And you'll see that when you look at the photo. Okay. There is a little bit of space right here between this and the base of the scaffolding. I guess that's a word, or its base. Again, I'm going to use my pencil to see where do these meet. And maybe they meet a little closer here. Maybe this is where they meet. This looks like the amount of space on each side, but I will tell you that you might have trouble in this area, because I did have trouble with that. It's hard. But I think this is good. I have this line, and I'm going to take another line. I'm going to try to make it parallel so that all this looks like the same. And here too. Perfect. I'm going to erase this. I don't really need it anymore. It was really helpful and necessary to find out where things are. I'm going to see where the next crisscross starts, and it makes it seem like it starts here. Let me see where it ends. It seems to end slightly above, which means this might be slightly longer. Slightly above the clementine. And if I use my pencil and see where it angles me to, kind of goes like that. Oh, that's good, because that makes sense. This hits here. You want to match the same width. Equal here. We want it to hit right here where this line is. Remember, because this is our middle. And I think that makes sense. And then, as I said, I'm making this a little longer because it seems like it is. Okay, so that means this actually is a little longer than this, where this hits. I don't know if it is. Yeah, it is a little bit. It's really more like right here. That's fine. Okay, so that's good. So I did that. Now behind it though, that's a tough one. So I'm going to erase this. I'm still going to use this line because I think I need it. Because if I look straight at it, it looks like it's a, behind it, you can kind of see the back one. It's really hard. And it goes like this. I'm going to darken it in so that you know the difference between the two. And it comes through here. So here's our line. I'm going to really push this shape right now. And then behind it is a darker version of it. And I'm going to follow the same crisscross, but I'm going to darken it in so it goes on to the other side. And then I'm going to crisscross it at the same place right here, this line, this metal line, this center line. Like that. Okay, and that's going to come all the way down, just like that. Okay, and then you can kind of see it, but can't see it. You can kind of see it there. We're just going to let it go. This is all we're going to do. So that's the back of that. Okay, so now I've drawn it. Now we're going to do shading.